Okay. There we go. Hello everybody. How are you doing? Are you having a good day? I sure hope you are. Okay, let me see the audio level. It's looking decent-ish. Okay. We will need some music this time around because this program, which I made, does not have music built in. How about this much? Is this much better? Yeah, I think it's about good. Alright, so I don't stream on this day. I usually do for the weekly as I have been doing, but this week and probably next week as well, I'm gonna stream an extra one at the minimum, probably, just to show the process to as many people as possible and like spread the word about the public event that's going on, the rifle testing. The goal of the rifle testing being to get the maximum possible reliable peak performance that every rifle in the game has, so we can like compare all of them together. So like we can see, oh, okay, an MR0 weapon has an average of about this much, an MR8 has an average of about this much, and if there are any outliers, it would be really useful to see them brought to public attention. All right, so the only question we have to answer is which weapon do you want to test? And I'm not sure. Let's figure that out. Let's start with an easy one so we don't get too confused. Let me check my spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet with all the weapons in them. There it is. Do we go for like a funny build for a low ranking weapon? I think it would be better to go like higher rank weapon because it's faster, because they kill enemies faster, so the test finishes faster. So I think that will go better with the whole essence of the stream, and it probably is a better idea to show people a build that they would be interested in at least trying. So how about Synapse, an MR11 weapon? No, not Coda Synapse, the base Synapse. The fire rate of 12, magazine of 140, reload of 1.5. Here's the funny bit. Crit chance of 39%. That's an insane number. It's super good. And then crit multiplier of 2.7 and status of 13. And it's mainly corrosive damage, which is amazing. You may also realize that this weapon has a headshot multiplier of 1.2 by default. Which, yeah, if you're using a crit weapon, you're going to get headshots, and that headshot multiplier is going to be freaking amazing. Okay, I think the variables are just fine, but I'll reduce this to 200 just in case because we're streaming. I could go 150. There is no 150. Okay. I did not add. No, I didn't add a 150. It's fine. It's fine. Oh yeah, by the way, I changed these. These used to go up to 1,000. I changed them so they only go to 300 now. It was really unstable at like super high numbers. Okay. Here we are. All right. There's not much of a way to just guess the best build right off the bat, but we can try. Let's see how good of a build I can come up with on the first attempt. Let's go Serration. This is a crit weapon, but it does, being a beam weapon, it actually benefits greatly from Galvanized Chamber because, let me do the math, 13, which is base status chance, multiplied by 1 plus 3.3. So just with Galvanized Chamber, its status chance will be... Oh wait, no, I put an extra one there. Just with Galvanized Chamber, its status chance will go up to 42.9 per hit, but we don't get multiple hits. Which is amazing because when you have a lower percentage beam weapon, if you can increase the per hit value high enough, it becomes really, really consistent, and that's amazing. So we're going to go Serration, Galvanized Chamber. So here's a question. Do we go Critical Delay or do we go Point Strike? This is 200% crit chance. This is 150 crit chance. Look at this. This goes to 117 and Point Strike will put it at 97.5. But Critical Delay will reduce our fire rate to 9.6 without any other mods. I'm thinking Critical Delay is probably closer to the better one, but we'll see. We'll see. My guess is Critical Delay. For crit damage, we could go Vital Sense, Hammer Shot. Oh, by the way, Primary Acuity is viable on some weapons, but only and only if you're landing 100% headshots. If you have a 50% headshot rate, then Primary Acuity is no longer useful, even on a crit weapon, because enemies jitter around. It's a horde shooter. It's not like you're going to be perfect headshot every time. And that's an issue because you're losing out on multi-shot. But given you're getting a lot of on weak point damage, which is actually more than what the multi-shot would have given you if you're an aimbot. But if you're not an aimbot, I feel like Primary Acuity is probably not it. However, it does come down to your skill level. And if your skill level is high enough, then yes, Primary Acuity can be good. Okay, Vital Sense, Hammer Shot, Blade Round. Those are our crit damage options. Hammer Shot is just, and Blade Round were lesser values. Vital Sense, much better. And it's much more consistent than Blade Rounds as well. Next up, do we want fire rate? That's a good question. Do we? Yes, we do. Because this thing has a magazine of 140. I've already put the 0.5 ammo per tick into that, so it doubled the magazine. And yeah, we do want that. But do we want Galvanized Aptitude? Galvanized Aptitude is a maybe. Galvanized Aptitude will give us more base damage, and it is good. It gives 80% per elemental type. So if we have a consistent 2 elemental types on this weapon, you will get about 160, and that's not the whole thing though. We also get status chance, 90% status chance. And because Galvanized Chamber will actually be a multiplier on top of Galvanized Aptitude, we're getting quite a bit out of this. So 23.4, multiply that by 3.3, that will get it up to 77%. So that's incredibly consistent. It's decent. I'll keep it for now. Yeah, I'll keep it for now. Then we're gonna go either Vial Acceleration or Speed Trigger. The difference being 20 to 16, but we're losing a tiny bit of base damage, like negative 15%, not multiplicative. I'm thinking we'll go with Vial Acceleration. Yeah, Vial Acceleration is probably better. Our next question is, since we already have Corrosive, what element do we want to add? Because there's only 2 slots left, and if you want to go make something like Viral, we'll need those 2 slots. So I'm thinking the high likelihood of Prime Cryo rounds being in the build is very high, because it is the only primed elemental mod for rifles. Other weapon categories have more, but rifles only have this one. Hello there, Latini. Latini says, Latini the Destroyer is here. Welcome aboard, my friend. If you want to come up with a build, you're welcome to do so after I test out this initial one. So I'm thinking, do we go Toxin 60-60 or do we go Toxin 90? That's a good question, because adding the 90 will give us more like direct damage, but adding the 60-60 will give us more status chance. But there's one more thing to that. If I add the 90, our viral value will be even higher, which means we'll get less corrosive values. That's a good question. Which one is worth more without testing? Latini asks, where can I download the MinMaxer? This very video that you're watching, look at the description. There's a link. Latini says the gun is status based, right? It's right there. The stats are right here. You can look. It's Synapse. It's a crit weapon. And it has, in this current build, a status chance of 31.2. But because it's a beam weapon, that gets multiplied by 3.3 because of galvanized multi-shot. And we lose out on the instancing that we get usually. So that on this build with the 60-60, it becomes 31.2. Multiply that by 3.3. That's 102. That's a guaranteed status proc per tick. So we're gonna get 20 of those per second with a 60-60. I feel like that's a bit much. We don't need that many. Because usually with a crit weapon like this, especially when we're doing headshot and we have a headshot multiplier of 1.2, I feel like 60-60 is not the way to go. Unless we're adding more elements. If we had the slot to add something else in here, like magnetic or heat, then yes, I would go with 60-60. But I think we should go 90. We will figure out mathematically which one is the way to go. But this is my guess. If I wanted to give someone a build that's like decent, like safe, nothing risky, I would give them this. So let's see if we can improve upon this build with the power of MinMaxer's Dream. Let's go. Yeah, it usually takes a second or two, because it's testing 25 times, like a few hundred, couple thousand enemies at least, before we get to the results. What's the corrupted fire rate? It's vial acceleration, 90% fire rate, negative 50% base damage. Okay. Oh, I forgot, the 50% skip is enabled. Okay, this result is useless because this is not a DOT weapon. We'll have to go back, disable, skip at 50%, and then we'll do it again. You know, it's about a lot faster. Now it's matching my perception quite well. That's about what I expected. How are you doing, Latini, by the way? You having a fun time? Have you been doing good lately? You did worry me a little bit when you said stuff are not going super well. Okay, here it is. 64.45. Alright, so Latini said use the 6060. Let's go back and check that. Toxin 6060. Let's see. Let's see what that is. Or I guess let's see what the result is. Latini says I'm taking a shower right now. How the heck are you watching a stream and taking a shower at the same time and are capable of typing? Okay, let's see. Would you look at that? Latini was right. This one does better. 63.27 compared to 64.45. So this is better. Yeah, Toxin 6060 will give you better results. Latini says sitting in the bathtub. Interesting. Is that a good idea, bro? If you say so. So, okay. Alternate build style. What if we give up on galvanized status and put a magnetic magazine in here instead? Let's see. I'm thinking probably not, but we'll figure this out immediately. It's funny how much of a difference it makes when you're using arcanes compared to when you're not using arcanes. 67. So yeah, that's now better. Thus far, number 3 is the top one. Oh, you can't see that. Yeah, I'm bookmarking number 3 right now because of the lowest value we have thus far. How about hammer shot? Yeah, let's test that. Where's hammer shot? Right here. Instead of magnetic capacity? Sure. And we should get the result. 64.89. It's quite comparable to this first one, which was with the 90 toxin mod. But yeah, it's not better. Here's the thing, right? The differences here are very small, but those differences get built upon. So we're going like a second less, and then we change the build and it's like a half a second less. The differences get incrementally less, but there is a difference between the top build and the good builds. So like this, for example, is a good build, but it's not the top build just yet. But number 3, which is right here, okay, it's a bit difficult. Like, where do I put the V2 face? Because if I put it on the left side, it blocks some of the mods. I put it on the right side, it blocks some of the stats. I can't put it up. I can put it right. Yeah, there's no place to put it. Latini says switch out the Vital Sense for Hammer Shot, then do 60-60 for the final slot. Okay? Let's see what you can come up with, my friend. You said Vital Sense to Hammer Shot, then 60-60. I assume you mean keep the Galvanized Aptitude. Yeah, we'll do that. There we go. How about after this, we try a Heat build. Heat 60-60 and Heat 90, and then cross-reference that with a Toxin 60-60 and a Toxin 90. Should be 4 combinations. You can get that tested as well. 65.14, my friend. It's not better. Okay, let's go back. Put Hammer Shot out. Put Vital Sense in. Oh yeah, one more thing before we do that, actually. Let's try Point Strike instead of Critical Delay and the Vital Acceleration stuff too, because if you figure out which fire rate works best, we can get some interesting results out of that. Let's go Speed Trigger instead. Do we go Speed Trigger and Critical? No. Let's go Vital Acceleration and put that on Point Strike instead of Critical Delay, so we have less crit chance but also more fire rate. Because look at the magazine, it's 140. That's how many seconds is that? 140 divided by 22.8. That's 6 seconds of shooting. but reload is 1.5. So the ratio of reloading to shooting is pretty decent. So we can increase the fire rate even more. Latini asks, would Rifle Elementalist be good since the gun is status based? Here's the thing, Rifle Elementalist gives us status damage, which I have none of. There is nothing like status damage in this build. We do have status, but not the damage of the status, which is to say we do not have toxin, slash, we don't have gas. See? We don't have electricity. Neither corrosive nor viral do any direct damage themselves. Also, this gun is not status based. This is a heavily crit. This is probably the biggest crit weapon there is, because look at that crit chance. It goes to 97%. The base, at least in the rifles, the base is 39%. That's insane. Nearly 40% as base. This is with point strike too. We can make that 117% with critical delay. Let's test it out this way. Point strike with vial acceleration. With Toxin 6060, we should probably double check that with Toxin 90 as well. Oh, look at this. 58.06. Now this is an improvement, my friend. Because the best one before this was this one, which was 63. But this goes to 58. Latini says, I'm gonna take a shower real quick and I'm gonna turn on Warframe. Alright. Go right ahead. So this is gonna take the last one out of the park, completely out of the park, out of the water, because this is better by quite a bit. Like from 65, 63-ish to 58, that's a significant improvement. Now try the same thing with Toxin 9090. Not 99, Toxin 90. Imagine having a Toxin 9090 mod, that would be insane. So yeah, because we have such a good ammo economy, we can totally push fire rate much further. Let's see how that goes. Ooh, 58.99. The last one was 58.06. That's significant enough to not to say it's not random. So yeah, that is not better. Yeah, we need the 6060. Okay. So what else do you want to test? What about the opposite? Critical delay with speed trigger so we don't lose out the base damage. Let's see. Grab the crit chance with fire rate, which is the speed trigger, critical delay and speed trigger. So this way we're doing more. Latini asks, also, is this app Incarnon compatible? Yes and no. If you're talking about Incarnon Genesis, then no. I have not implemented those because I don't have them to test them. See, that's a kind of a dilemma, and to get them takes months, and I do not have that kind of time. On the other hand, Incarnon weapons that you can get without Incarnon Genesis, which is to say base Incarnon weapons, they are here, like Fenmore is here. Right here, Fenmore, you can choose the perks right here. You want to see these type of names, that's better for you. There you go. But now we're going to go back to Synapse. Again, what is it talking about? Yeah, less fire rate, not losing base damage, and having as much crit chance as possible. Let's see how this one goes. Come on, probably not. Yeah, it isn't better. But funnily enough, remember the best one before this, the 63.27? If I had tested this first, I would have said that this is better. See, this is a danger with testing out builds, because when you get pigeonholed into one type of build, you may not test every other combination and figure out the ideal one. Because see, If we had gone just 60-60 and then went down on fire rate instead of losing base damage, we would have gotten something better. But if we did the exact opposite of that, we would get even better. See? Hello there, Caffeine Strong. Caffeine Strong says, Happy Men's Mental Health Month. Wow, that's surprisingly fitting. Yes. Okay. So what do we want to test next? We went with the point strike while acceleration up. What about a non-serration based triple elemental style? I think that might be worth trying out. And also the opposite of one with just serration. Yeah, let's try it out. Let's drop serration, put galvanized aptitude up. And do we go magnetic magazine or do we add heat to the build? Let's try with magnetic capacity first, then we'll test our radiation reload, and then we'll go for a heat variant. Let's see. We should be getting a lot less base damage here, but because we're not using viral acceleration, which removes our base damage, like a tiny bit of it, we should be pretty decent. Oh, 63.67. Is it better than the old variant? No, it isn't actually. Even the base one. Interesting. So what about radiation? That gives us reload. That puts our reload at 1.07. Latini asks, are burst weapon considered semi-auto? If you mean to use semi-rifle cannonade, then no, they're not. Because they're closer to like automatic weapons. Just hold the fire if you have that one setting enabled. You can just auto-fire them. They're basically automatic weapons, honestly. Let's try this out, radiation reload. $64.94. That's actually worse than even the one I came up with initially. So that's a no-go, and it's even worse than the magnetic variant. What about heat though? What if we just drop that out, put everything one slot over, and then use heat 90 or 60? Let's try out both actually. Let's start with 90. $65.65. That's significantly worse. Let's try the 60 variant now. $64.34. So it is an improvement over the 90 variant, but it's definitely not better than the magnetic variant. Okay. Yeah, doesn't seem like this is the way to go. So what about the opposite? Just serration instead of galvanized chamber. What about the slash build though? Because this is 100% crit chance right here. We could go for Hunter Mumu right then. If we go galvanized status with Hunter Mumu would give us one extra status proc to work with. But we'll drop fire rate, not fire, we'll drop heat for it. And we'll have to change this to a skip enemy at 50% to like let slash do its thing, because otherwise we'll just go for direct kills, and because our kill time is pretty short, we're not going to be getting any benefit from slash. So let's see, is the build correct? Hunter Mumu, Fire Coal, Toxin, Galvanized Status instead of Serration, is that correct? Serration is 165, Galvanized Status gives us 80%, like maximum spooled up, 80% per proc. And we have two base ones, Corrosive and Viral, and then Hunter Mumu, which makes it 3. 38240, so theoretically it is worth it, yes. Latini says, I want to hop on VC. I don't know, bro. You do say some funky stuff at times. I'm not sure. Also, I'm not sure it fits with the vibe. Does it fit with the vibe? Also, it would cost more internet, which is actually a no-go because, yeah, the internet is not that powerful. Yeah, probably not, because VC takes quite a bit of internet, and I feel like if I do that, the stream will suffer. So yeah, let's not do that. But let's try this Hunter Mumu build. Let's see what happens. You notice that sometimes enemies die in the middle, or some enemies are skipped. Yeah, that's what skip at 50% does. Because now the enemies don't have to die for you to go to the next one. So it is possible for someone to die while the one before is still alive. Mostly about the randoms. If you get like a tier 2 crit. Oh, look at this, 81.6. So this is not the way to go. But if you wanted to make it happen, then there are some ways to try. We could try a different elemental combination. We could try reducing our direct damage, because remember, if you're focusing on slash procs, adding more elemental damage does not change the value of slash techs. You're only doing direct damage. But on a weapon that has both viral and corrosive, you really don't need slash. Oh yeah, and slash was indirectly nerfed when they reduced the effectiveness of armor. Because before that, slash was quite powerful, but then they suddenly will never be as powerful again, because they did something akin to multiplying the health of all enemies by like 10 to like 50, but just reducing the armor to match, so the effective hit point is the same. So if you were using slash before that, your slash would get something like 20 to 50 to 100 multiplier, but now it's literally impossible to do that because the health values have been adjusted so that the armor is not so dominant. So yeah, Hunter Mumu is unlikely to be top choice for most weapons nowadays. Latini asks also, why the 32-bit version of your app? Well, some people run 32-bit operating systems, so you need to have both. Okay, so if Hunter Mumu is not the way to go, Rifle Elementalist, Corrupted base damage. What about Corrupted base damage with heavy caliber? It's more base damage, but it's free because it doesn't cost. So here's the thing: Galvanized status takes like a few hits for it to like get fully spooled up, but heavy caliber is immediately active. There's only one issue. Galvanized status does base damage and status, so it's like a 2-in-1 deal. Heavy caliber, even when you don't have to worry about like accuracy, because this weapon does not lose much accuracy with heavy caliber because of how accurate beam weapons are by default. But despite that, you're still not getting status chance. So I think this is worse, quite a bit actually. Latini says, okay, I'm in your app. Yes, my friend. If you figure out a build better than the ones I came up with, then tell me. So yeah, as I thought, 96.11, that's the worst by far. How can I set the testing environments? Okay, here's how you do it. Set them to these, other than this one. If you're, oh wait, oh yeah, that was on by mistake. So yeah, time scale, you can set time scale to like 100 or 200 to up to 300 if you have a super powerful weapon, super powerful computer. Keep it headshot if you want to participate in the public testing. But if you don't want to participate in the public testing and just want to test stuff for yourself, then you can use body shot as well. Keep it single target. We have AoE and link chain, but those are not being tested right now. The repeat count 25 at the minimum. You can set it higher if you want. The higher you set it, the more it'll take it though. Like keep that in mind. Like a 50 will take double as much time compared to 25. Test level, you can set it to whatever you want, but for the public rifle testing event, we want that to be at 100. Custom test off. Custom test just lets you choose one enemy and its level and how many of it you want. Targeting delay at 0.5, perfectly fine, do not touch that. Starting combo doesn't really affect because we don't have snipers yet and we don't have melee. Skip enemy at 50%. If you have a DOT build, like a slash, a gas, or a heat, enemy distances mostly just affect stuff like gas procs and electricity procs, but these default values are pretty solid. So you don't need to touch those as well. Like actually you shouldn't. So yeah, that's about it. Now let's test that build once again. But let's delete this last one because it's kind of incorrect. Okay, look at the difference that made. We went from 96 to 61. So that's actually not bad at all. But it's not better though. Oh wait. What if we did that with point strike and viral acceleration like the initial one? Point strike and viral acceleration. How big of a difference is just that alone? Ooh, okay. Wow, I did not expect that. Why? Why is it like that? Wait a second. Wait a second. Something's wrong here. I can feel it. We just put galvanized chamber up and heavy caliber is still here. So that's basically... Oh, okay, now I see it. This is 58.06 and the other one is at 57.99. So these two are the same thing. That's just a random being applied because heavy caliber and serration have the same value, don't they? Let me check. wiki.warframe.com-w-serration. Serration is 165 and heavy cal. And heavy caliber is also 165. Okay, those two are the same thing. So let's swap out galvanized aptitude to serration. So we have serration and heavy caliber now. So we also need to redo the one that I thought we did correctly, which we didn't. Which is serration heavy caliber with the alternate crit fire rate situation. So serration heavy caliber, point straight value. We're going to test the other way around after this. Okay. We went from 58.06 to 59.07. That's a whole second slower because of the status chance. One thing of note, look at these values up here. Look at the corrupted kill time, for example, the normal corrupted kill time. That's 14.05. The other one is 14.31. So across 20 enemies, the difference is 0.3 second combined. So if you were doing that, Latini says, I just tested my build, 61.86. Yep. It doesn't beat the current top one, which is 58.06. If you were testing this by hand, like manually, and you wanted to tell the difference between using heavy caliber and galvanized aptitude, you would not see anything, because the difference is like in milliseconds for singular targets, and in deciseconds, I guess, in 0.3-ish seconds across 20 enemies. In all of these, like 70-something enemies we have in the entire test combined, the difference is at 59 to 58. So 1 second for like 70 enemies. The difference is quite small, but it is meaningful. Okay. Let's do the opposite one, as I said before. Let's do critical delay and speed trigger. Here it is, 62.92, so it's not better by any means. So we're gonna go back to point strike and vial acceleration. So is there anything we have not tried out? We don't get any impact procs to test impact to slash at all. Vigilante multi-shot is, I guess, an option, but like, where do I put it? I could try going for it instead of galvanized stainless. What about a purely corrosive build? How would that go? Like no viral, just corrosive. We can test it out. Yeah, let's try it. Let's go Vigilante multi-shot, drop the cold and the toxin too. Let's actually... Yeah, galvanized styles will not be that useful because we only have one element. So electricity 90 and toxin 60. Because we have less things to proc, so maybe it's okay to just go double 90, just corrosive with Vigilante multi-shot. Yeah, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. It's unlikely to be better, but it's worth testing at least. Testing at the very least. And after this, let's also try primary acuity build for an aimbot. It's not a build that a real human would use ever, especially with an automatic weapon, because you kind of have to perfectly track a head that's jittering all over the place, and a horde shooter, that's just not a good idea. 74, so yeah, it's pretty terrible comparatively speaking. But would it be better to go for a 60-60 in this situation or not? That's a good question. Let's see. $74.06. Surprisingly, it's the same thing exactly. More or less exactly the same thing. It is better, but like, it's not even better enough for me to say it's not just the randomness that's making the difference, because 74.10 to 74.06, that's just nothing. That's within the consistency differences. So that's a no-go. Oh yeah, Latini, I hear you. Did you find a build that's better than 57? Oh? Share. What did you do? What kind of trickery did you find? As long as it doesn't involve galvanized crit or primary acuity, I'll be really interested. Because it's obvious that galvanized crit will... Okay, serration, yes, base damage. I'll wait for you to type it out. Yeah, it's Galv Smoke. I told you Galv Scope is pretty easy to get a build better. Yeah, the rest of it just doesn't matter because it's obvious that Galv Scope is better. It's just that Galv Scope is unsustainable and not better in actual gameplay compared to just having an aimbot. So yeah, it was pretty obvious to me that Galv Scope... there's a reason I banned Galv Scope entirely. Or almost entirely. Because Galv Scope is not... You can't keep it at its maximum value in actual gameplay. Which makes it like significantly worse. Especially because the stacks have individual timers, not to mention that within less time than the actual buff duration, all of it will be gone. It's a bit tricky to explain why Galvanized Scope is so bad, but it is pretty bad. So if you're using Galvanized Scope, the build is invalidated immediately. But if you want to see it, I'll show you. Oh, 56.6. Okay, tell me the rest of... Okay, you're using Toxin 90, Galv Scope, and Rhyme rounds. So that's just the same thing as I've been using then. Okay, tell me the rest of the build. Serration, Galvanized Chamber, that's basically the same thus far. Okay, so then did you say crit delay or... Yeah, you said critical delay. Okay, let's see. Critical delay. Serration, Galvanized Chamber, critical delay. What next? Okay, send a screenshot. I have Discord open. I'll tell you what, send it in the rifles level 100. That's the best place to send it. In underneath Synapse. Like, go to the rifles level 100, search for Synapse, and then send it. Okay? If you're too lazy to find it, just send it in the general chat, I'll see it. I'm not seeing it, my friend. Okay, I see it now. That's a terrible way of sending it, but sure. So what did you swap out? So you swapped out... Wait, what did you swap that? You swapped that galvanized status for hammer shot? We already tested that though. Okay, you said Serration Galv Chamber, so Serration Galv Chamber, then as you said, critical delay and viral sense. Yeah, critical delay and viral sense, we have those. Then you went to viral acceleration, which we already have. Prime rounds and infected clip. So you're going for less elemental damage. So rhyme rounds like cold 66 again, infected clip, which is toxin. Yes, my friend. Latini asked why the result is different. There's an element of randomness to it. That's why I say set the repeat to 25 or more. Because remember, there's still random involved. That's just how the game works. So the higher your repeat count is, the more accurate it will get, but it'll never get to the exact number over and over again. Because there's randomness involved. I don't know how you got a 66 with this build. If I'm doing it correctly, which is Serration, Galv Chamber, Critical Light, Violent Sense, Infected Curl, Bribe Round, Vial Acceleration, and Hammer Shot, that's 68.5. This difference is now one you can... Wait, did you say 56? 68. Okay, your stats are probably incorrect. Your test variables are probably not set up correctly. Send me this screen. You know this screen? Send me this screen and I will be capable of telling you what you've set incorrectly. Instead of in the... we usually don't send the results in that particular format instead of Rifles level 100, so I'm going to delete that one because it doesn't have the results in it. Okay, you sent it to my DMs. Okay, those do look good actually. The single target headshot, custom test stuff, yeah, they do look good. Now go back to results and press the all results button and click on that 156 that you got and send me that. Like this, you get the old results page, press old results, click one of the older ones until you find your 56 of sorts, and then send that to me. But for now, that's 68. And considering the consistency, that shouldn't... Okay, you were blind, it was 59. That's still significantly different from 68. Different enough that it probably shouldn't happen. So I want to see it. Let's go back to the one we found thus far, which is Galvapt Galv Chamber. And it was point strike instead of... There we go. Okay, just switching out critical chance to something like Galvanized Crit, which is Galvanized Scope, formal name, will improve the performance quite a bit. But the downside is it doesn't translate to gameplay, like, at least if you're not an aimbot. If you are an aimbot, then yes. I'm still waiting, Latini. Send that thing to me. But yeah, let's try it. Let's assume that you are an aimbot. Let's see how that goes. Here it is, 55. If you use Galv Scope, it'll go this low. But this 55 is not better than this 58 in the actual gameplay. Like, it's pretty obvious. Also, let's try out primary acuity. The funny thing about primary acuity is it takes 2 build spots. Like, because it also gives us 350% crit chance and it prevents us from using Galvanized Chamber, if we go primary acuity, we have 175% crit chance. That's insane. So what should we do with the last slot? I'm thinking magnetic for extra base damage and the magnetic effect on shielded enemies. I wonder if we were hypothetically, if we were an aimbot, would this be better or would the Galv Scope be better? What about both? Or what about a hammer shot instead? $58. It's not even better than the base one. So what if I put even more unrealistic of a build? Galv Scope primary acuity. How much does Galv Scope give us? Let me check. Galv Scope gives us 120 plus 40 times 5. at the maximum, which is 320. So this is base 39, so that goes 39 multiplied by 1 plus 3.5 from primary acuity, and an extra 3.2, that makes it 300%. That's guaranteed reds. So in this situation, when we have maximum build up galvanized scope, we have guaranteed red crits. Let's see if this is better than that one magnetic mod, and let's after that check if it's better than hammer shot. Okay, 56. It's not better than the... Oh wait, it is better than the magnetic mod, but it's not better than the galvanized scope alone without primary acuity. Let's try the hammer shot variant. Considering that we're on this particular build, we're getting orange crits pretty much all the time. It's interesting to see how this would go. And also with vigilante armaments, that's also pretty good, since it boosts crit chance 5% of the times when you have guaranteed or near guaranteed crit chance. Even 56.61, that is worse actually than galvanized scope. Makes sense. Okay, yeah, we're gonna drop those. We're gonna keep that. We're gonna go point strike and galvanized chamber. So what about just vigilante armaments instead of galvanized aptitude? How would that go? Considering we already have 330% multi-shot, 3.3 in total, it's pretty unlikely that an extra 60% is going to do much. So I'm not hopeful for this being better at all, but I just want to see it. How would it compare? It's not bad, but yeah, it's definitely not better. So yeah, the best build we could come up with is this one. And you may realize a pretty significant like template for like if you want like top builds. This is like 60% of all builds in rifle category, at least the ones I have seen thus far that have performed super well. There's something like this. Saturation Galv Chamber, some sort of crit if it's a crit weapon, then Vital Sense, and they usually go Prime Cryo rounds, then a 60-60, sometimes the 90, but most of the time 60-60, then Galv Apt and some sort of fire rate. It's either speed trigger or Vital Acceleration. For crit, it's also usually either point strike or critical delay. There are small differences, but there are differences. And Galvanized Aptitude, I haven't seen a build thus far at this level with this testing condition that didn't have galvanized aptitude. But you, if we had a arcane, you could probably drop Saturation, but in this instance, without an arcane, we cannot drop it the majority of the times. Like we did try it. Where did they try it? Here, we tested it around here. Like instead of Saturation, we put magnetic capacity and such. It wasn't better. So yeah, 58.06. If you don't want to use primary acuity and you don't want to use spectral saturation. What? Yeah, I guess we don't use spectral saturation, but if you don't want to use, what was it? Yeah, galvanized scope. Yeah. So saturation, gal champ, point strength, vital sense, galvanized aptitude, viral acceleration, prime cryo rounds, and malignant force. So I'll save this as the current top. And let's go to the results and save this 58.06. There we go. And I'm gonna post it in the rifles level 100. let me find this bad boy. We go there, we go there, then we go there and there. Database, save results, primary, synapse. Synapse, there it is. Latini, send me the whole screen, not just a section of it. I need to see the whole thing. There are a lot of little things encoded in tiny little details. Oh yeah, that's a new one. That's not the old one that you found. That has bladed rounds in it. But it's also 58.68. Is it better? 58.06. Oh no, it's not better. So the difference on that one is just yours just using bladed rounds instead of vial sense. No, that's not the one that you talked about earlier, but that's alright. That's an alright build. Let me see. What was the value on bladed rounds? Bladed rounds is 120%, and vial sense is also 120%, but the difference is that vial sense does not have a duration, and it's not on kill, and it doesn't require an aiming. So going bladed rounds instead of vial sense is just a net loss straight up. So let me post this bad boy. Let me show. Can I share Discord? No, it doesn't seem like I can. Okay, that's one way to do it, I guess. So here it is, Discord, and I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna grab these. This is how you, Latini, you didn't know how this works. This is how we do it. After you save a test result, we have the, we have this button right here. This one right here. The green button. Well, I guess it's not green before you save. Go ahead inside the directory that the game will tell you, and then select the weapon, like the image with that exact name, and there's a text file with that exact name, not the all version, just the text version. And then just drop them here inside of the post with the same name. And here we can see the weapon, the mods, the stats, the elements, and all the variables in both text form as well as a visual one. Since we did this, for now I'm gonna give it a check mark. And here we're gonna update this bad boy. It went from nothing to 58.06. And I'll put that on open. If anyone beats that value, I'm going to take away this check mark and give it to them. And give this one like one of these. But yeah. But for now, this is the top one. And we have a lot of stuff to fix. Like, look at how many weapons are just waiting. Yeah, they'll take a while, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Where was Synapse? Wait, what is this? Did I... Yeah. I pressed the button by mistake. 58.06. Okay, we only tested one. We made 27 attempts at finding a better build. But even when going through all this, the initial one, the first build I came up with was 64.45, and the best one we found was 58.06. So that's about 6 seconds of difference, which is quite significant in actual gameplay, like relatively significant. You wouldn't notice it by human eyes, but it is significant. Okay. Do we do another one? My voice is starting to give out, so... And considering the fact that there's another stream the day after tomorrow, I think? Probably. Probably gonna end the stream right about here. I don't want this to get too long because my voice is starting to say bye-bye. So I'm thinking of ending it right about here. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, yeah. I sure hope to see you next time. And I sure hope that you will join me in figuring out builds. That's awesome, Latini. Latini says I'm gonna mess around in the app. Yep, I sure hope you do, and I sure hope you find a build. And remember, just because I don't like a build doesn't mean it's not good for you, because people play differently. Some people are aimbots. I'm now one. So, yeah. Alright, see you guys next time. And let's call it a day. Bye bye for now.